expect, even if the Federal Reserve tries to do the same, it will be hard to prevent the market from declining to that level.
So we're talking about a decline of, certainly from the peak, of almost 50%.
Almost 50%. And of course, it declined very quickly 50% in 1929. It declined 50% in 3 years in 2000. And the housing market, which was another great American super bubble, went all the way back to trend in 3 years.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And we know Mr. Jeremy Grantham is exactly right. We know what the Fed has to do along with the central banks. Destroy this legacy market. And remember, on your mainstream TV, they're going to give you the warning that stocks are going to take a hit, but they don't tell you why. And we know that the fourth industrial revolution is about to rise, where the robots, algorithms, and drones take over the economy, and the sheep are going inside the metaverse. And now, guys, we're already getting policy for the metaverse. We see the banks now moving the wallets. We're slowly seeing this move to the digital transformation without the masses even understanding. Now, with this Chat GPT, we know how powerful this is, because there's already technology that's embedded in these corporations like IBM Watson. And guys, you know that was in my NWO book. And then also, guys, look at all the technology that NVIDIA has. So we know this technology is ready to be rolled out, but they need that crisis in order to distract the people. We see the constant layoffs with all these corporations, and we know what the solution is. People going back home, getting free money, and entering inside the metaverse. And remember, Blackstone stated in the United States there will be no growth for a whole 10 years. Remember, America to Babylon is going to fall along with the world reserve currency, in China and the BRICS nations. The emerging markets are going to rise with the digital yuan backed by that digital SDR. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you about it and also wrote about it a long time ago. And then, of course, guys, we have Grayscale. And we know the only way we get a spot Bitcoin ETF is through regulation. And we know regulation is right around the corner. But we see a lot of shady things around the digital currency group. But we know they have the money and power. And guys, do not forget, when it comes to the NWO, they make money as the market is going up, and they make money as the market is going down. We're going to see housing get crushed. We're going to see Bitcoin and cryptos take a hit, but we know the crypto space is definitely the future. And when it comes to stocks, we know those who are not prepared for the fourth industrial revolution are going to tank also. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
What would you like to see? And the feet dragging, I don't see any. With Gensler, everything else, I don't see the regulations that you need to finally get to where you want to be. Seems still far off. Is it 2023 when you think we'd see something, Michael?
Well, we're certainly expecting a decision from the courts in Q2 or Q3 of this year. But I think the frustrating thing for investors and certainly for the Grayscale team is that we're actually a business that was born in the U.S., made use of existing U.S. regulatory frameworks to bring crypto to investors in a safe and compliant way. And actually, the approval of a spot Bitcoin ETF doesn't require new legislation being passed. In fact, it fits into existing regulatory frameworks. And I think as we're meeting with both houses yesterday and today, what we're really hearing from folks is that a lot of them share in the belief that had the SEC already approved a spot Bitcoin ETF, allowed GBTC to convert to an ETF already, that a lot of the recent investor harm we've seen in crypto would have been prevented. A lot of these investors would not have gone to offshore exchanges and gotten caught up in some of the businesses that are not regulated by the U.S. the way that Grayscale is.
Michael, is it too simplistic to say that some of the things that the SEC or FTC is looking at in terms of not allowing the spot ETF, these are some of the risks that you concede in trying to go forward with this? You acknowledge that some of these things are it's still a relatively new landscape, and it's some of the things they worry about, you acknowledge, are things that you worry about as well.
Of course we do. Crypto is a new and emerging asset class, but it is here to stay. I think that it's important to remind the role that regulators like the SEC play when it comes to investors. They're not here to tell investors what to or what not to invest in. They're here to ensure that all the proper disclosures are made, and so that when investors do go to put capital to work, that they're of course being made aware of all the risks associated with any potential investment they're making, right? Whether that's Bitcoin or otherwise. And that's really the role of the SEC, a disclosure regulator, not a merit-based regulator.
Hey, Michael, I'm a little confused about some of the stuff at Grayscale. I've tried reading a lot of this, tried to understand, but Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, people aren't allowed to redeem, right? That's only Grayscale can remove or create new shares through this. That's why it's down so much. The net asset value is something like a 40% discount. I mean, those seem like things that investors would be concerned about, too. Is there a point where you're going to allow investors to start redeeming?
Well, certainly the path we've been on with GBTC is to convert it to an ETF. That's the way GBTC was constructed all the way back in 2013, and it's still the path that we're on today and the path that we're advocating for. Ultimately, we have tried to answer that question to the best of our ability, Becky, in that if we do exhaust all of our judicial options to challenge the SEC's stance on this product, we would entertain working constructively with regulators and shareholders to offer a tender offer. And ultimately, that would not be a great outcome, given that that would be a material deviation from bringing an ETF to market. And I think, quite frankly, it would mean that U.S. regulators were once again shutting the door on bringing Bitcoin further into the regulatory perimeter and protecting investors.
Well, why don't you lower your fees in the meantime?
Well, we've certainly committed to lowering our fees. We've said it before.
Why don't you just do it instead of committing to it?
Well, certainly the environment around crypto is an environment where costs that are associated with running products are going to be higher today than they are maybe for traditional products like equities or fixed income. And certainly in a competitive market where we believe GBTC will be the first of ETFs and other ETFs will come to market, there certainly will be likely a race to the bottom on fees, and we're committed to that for investors.
You think Bitcoin's made a low, near-term low, or maybe a permanent low at this point? We've seen higher over the history of Bitcoin, higher highs, higher lows, but the distance between the highs and the lows are pretty significant. Do you think it's on its way in an uptrend back to, I don't know, 25, 30,000 a coin?
You guys know it's tough to predict where Bitcoin's going, but what we hear from investors is perhaps most of the negative news they've been anticipating has dropped. So we are maybe seeing a little bit of a relief rally in crypto prices at the moment.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
Person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York. Clothing Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.